Stephanie.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we have finished season 1. Very
Yeah.
exciting. It's been a little while since we last filmed, but what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at the season 1 histories and lore.
Yeah.
So some of you guys requested that they check this out, and I've actually only seen it like once. So I'll say I don't know this as well as like the actual episodes of Game of Thrones as well. So just to give you a little bit of context, it's going to be sort of like little snippets of the sort of like history of the world. It's not going to give anything away for season 2, but it's going to be like, kind of just to give you more background on some of the events in season 1, and it's going to be from the perspective of a bunch of different characters.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's some of them, it might be like the same story more than one time, but from different people's perspectives.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
24 hours later.
In the dawn age of Westeros, before the coming of man and the raising of castles and cities, there were only the children of the forest.
Only children of the forest.
Little is known of them now, but it is said they were small in stature, dark and beautiful, and no taller than children when grown to manhood.
Oh. That's the White Walkers.
No.
They hunted with weirwood bows and armed themselves with blades of obsidian. Their wise men were called Green Seers and possessed of powerful magic. They worshipped nameless.
I like the illustration.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
According to legend, it was they who carved faces in the great white trunks of the majestic weirwoods.
So those are the ones with the red leaves, the weirwood trees. Yeah. Werewoods? Yeah.
12,000 years ago, the first men came from the eastern continent, crossing a land bridge called the Arm of Dawn. Riding their great horses and wielding weapons of bronze, they cut down the children's forests and weirwoods. A terrible war raged
They
between
cut down
The forest.
the forest of the children. And then they got mad and become the White Walkers.
They met on a small isle in the centre of a great
God's
lake
Eye.
called the God's Eye.
Did
It
we
was
see
there
that
they
on
forged
map
the
before?
pact. The first
You
man
probably
would be
didn't notice
granted
it.
dominion
No,
over the
probably didn't.
coastland, the mountains, the high plains and the bogs, but the deep forest would forever belong to the children, and no weirwood tree would ever again fall to
What
man's
painting
axe.
does that remind me of? This is Teen Chapel?
Like this one where they're like this.
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry.
Which came to be known as the Isle of Faces.
The Isle
But
of
the pack could
Faces.
not withstand the coming of the Andals, a race of tall, fair-haired warriors. They attacked with fire and weapons of steel, slaughtering the children of the forest wherever they could find them, burning out their weirwood groves, hacking away at the faces of the old gods, and spreading their own religion through the land.
Okay, so this is very like a colonialism versus kind of
Kings of
the
Winter
indigenous
every
people
kingdom
of the
is
land.
except the north.
Invasion. Descendants of the first men
Direwolves?
died to this day and continue to worship the old gods.
I don't know.
As for the children of the forest, those who survived the slaughter were said to have fled far north and have not been seen again,
I'm telling you,
Most
that's the
assume
White
they're long dead.
Walkers.
and some don't believe they ever existed. They live on only through song and legend, and in the faces of the weirwood trees.
The faces of the...
Oh, weird.
They live in the faces of the tree.
Okay, that's
Okay,
very
that's
interesting. So we're
really
pausing.
fast.
Yeah. So what I learned is that it was the children's
The forest, children of the forest.
children of the forest, and even when they're grown up, they're like still short, I guess.
And small,
Yeah,
childlike.
small. And then the people came from somewhere and like
Were those the
slaughtered
Andals?
Like was
The
it
people
the first men, I think.
the first
Yeah.
men. And so it was like
okay.
they brought in their new gods and got rid of the old gods or something. Which faces were carved in the weirwood trees?
It's the children. So it said that they ended up. Some people say they exist or don't exist anymore, and that they went to the north.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what I
they
heard.
fled north.
They fled to the north.
I think that they are talking about the White Walkers. I do. Because the thing that I thought was a doll
You're right.
which I now know was a dead person and not a doll. Yes,
I don't think you're the only person that thought that.
Okay, thank you.
Initially.
Thank you to others, but it did. It just looked... Anyway, but I think they're talking about this is how the White Walkers came to be.
Okay. Do we want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're really fast.
They are fast, yeah.
I'm definitely missing things because I'm like...
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. That's okay. So the next one is The Age of Heroes by Bran Stark.
Okay, The Age of Heroes.
When Aegon the Conqueror invaded Westeros, he had 7 kingdoms to contend with. The Kingdom of the North, the Kingdom of the Mountain and the Vale, the Iron Islands, the Kingdom of the Rock, the Kingdom of the Reach, the Stormlands, and Dawn. These regions...
These are the 7 kingdoms that they reference all the time, right? Mm-hmm.
One hero of this fabled age was Bran the Builder. Bran raised the wall and built the stronghold of Winterfell, establishing House Stark and reigning as the first king in the north. Other legends tell of the Grey King in the Iron Islands. Grey King took a mermaid to wife and defeated Naga, the first...
What the heck is that?
Sea dragon.
Sea dragon.
The current rulers of the region claim to descend from him. House Casterly ruled the gold-rich Westerlands from their mighty seat of Casterly Rock. But their lands and power were swindled from them by the legendary trickster, Lan the Clever. The noble house of Lannister is said to have descended from him.
Oh, clever.
He ruled from Highgarden as the first king of the Reach and was said to have made the land bloom.
Was that King Robert's descendant?
No.
With the booze and the women?
In the Stormlands, according to ballads of the age, a warrior named Arryn fell in love with Elenai, whose father was god of the sea and mother was goddess of the wind.
That's where the fish people...
She gave her maidenhead to him, committing herself to a mortal life.
Like Cat's family.
No.
No?
That's actually where Robert's family's from.
This is confusing.
Darren declared war on the gods and rebuilt his keep, which was also destroyed. 4 more castles he raised, each stronger than the last. All fell to the power of the gods. But Darren's 7th castle, Storm's End, withstood the gods' rage. Darren became known as Darren Godsgrief, and reigned as the first Storm King. There are countless other tales from the Age of Heroes, too many to count. These histories weren't recorded in a book, but passed down from generation to generation through story and song. And while some of them may be dismissed as fairy tales, every one of the 7 kingdoms is defined by them.
Holy cow! this is really, really...
You don't need to memorize all of them.
We don't need to know.
No,
I know. I just want to be. I'm invested. I'm very invested in the show. As much
maybe
as
when we're all done, we'll get you the books, and then you can really deep dive. You can borrow my copy.
Okay, I'm better with audio.
Well, there's audiobooks too. Yeah.
No, I do. I do care, but this is it's so fast.
Yeah, but I think that one was kind of interesting because it showed the maps a little bit more again.
Yeah.
So then you kind of saw where the Lannisters area,
the Greyjoys.
Yeah. So you guys remember
the
Greyjoy that we've met?
Yes.
Yes.
Theon Greyjoy.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
And
Theon, his dad betrayed Ned. No.
Something like that.
Wasn't it?
I don't know.
I'm not going to say anything.
But they're from the Iron Islands. And
someone betrayed him.
Apparently descend from some sort of sea monster or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go to
Holy
the
cow.
next one.
Literally all I got from that was 7 Kingdoms, oral history,
Valyria and the
Lannisters are
Dragons.
clever.
I like the dragons.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Valyria and the Dragons by Viserys Targaryen, your favorite. Okay.
East of Westeros lies the smoking sea, where no ship dares sail. There are those who swear it to be demon-haunted, and who's to say they're wrong? For it was there, thousands of years ago, that a cataclysmic event occurred, destroying one of the great civilizations in history.
Ooh.
The precise details of their origins are lost to us.
Are those like little volcanoes?
One fateful day, in a volcanic area known as the 14 Fires, they made a shattering discovery.
Dragons!
They were monstrous, scaled creatures with massive wings, sharp claws, and fiery breath. They were also said to have a deep-rooted connection to magic.
Imagine.
In time, the Valyrians were able to tame the beasts. Harnessing their immense power, they established a city of wonder, unlike any before or since. They became skilled at sorcery and metallurgy, creating uncommon weapons of spell-forged steel. Wielding these weapons astride their dragons, the Valyrians conquered the surrounding lands and slowly expanded west. At the time, the Giscari Empire dominated much of the great eastern continent and tried to stop Valyria's expansion. The Giscari legions attacked the Valyrians 5 times, but could never defeat them. Finally, the Valyrians marched on their capital, Old Gis, and obliterated it, turning its streets and buildings to ash with dragon flame.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be kind of hard to fight against big, huge magic dragons.
I know.
Yeah.
So
It's like, yeah, they have like air weapons.
Yeah,
aerial
with
weapons.
fire.
Yeah, with fire, yes.
The Valyrians' reach extended far and
they
wide,
became the
covering most of the
advanced
continent.
region, they said.
Most of the continent.
Great cities were built and roadways
So
paved,
they're like
all of
the
which led
Romans.
back to Valyria. The freehold would prosper for nearly 5,000 years,
So then what happened?
but it was not to last.
There you go.
An event that became known only as the Doom laid waste to the Valyrians, their capital city, and its surrounding lands. The peninsula
Meteors?
itself was shattered, becoming what is
Like
now the Smoking Sea.
meteors or something.
Smoking sea.
Every dragon was thought to be lost, as were the Valyrian spells, knowledge, and recorded history. Thus, the mighty empire collapsed. What caused this cataclysm?
Yeah.
No one knows for certain. Some say it was a volcanic eruption. Others say the Valyrians' own sorcery got the better of them.
With their magic.
In any
Did
event,
it to
the Doom's
themselves.
devastation of the Valyrian people was total, with the exception of a small rocky island in the narrow sea, Dragonstone.
Which is where
Dragonstone.
people.
For it was there that the Targaryens, the last of old Valyria, dwelled.
Targaryens, the last.
They would lie in
of the
wait for another
Valyria.
100 years before unleashing the fury of the dragon on another continent,
Oh, so they had a dragon still?
Westeros.
Yeah.
One dragon?
Dragonstone.
Okay, so this history is kind of like cool because it's like you can link it to like human history in a way, right? Like,
What are you thinking of?
well, I'm just thinking like how he said, well, they're not sure why, like what the attack or what broke the civilization that was like the greatest civilization.
Right, sure, yeah.
And he was like, was it the volcanic rock or was it their own
Oh, like, are you?
magic? So it's like that you can like mirror it to like when humans
Noah's
go
Ark.
too far.
Just
Well, no, like when sometimes
Yes, their
advancement
own-
is too far.
their
like
own
even
power could potentially destroy
like,
themselves.
right, like kind of what we're doing,
Or
in
like
a
how
sense to
we-
our
or
planet,
how
right?
we, like-
with AI and the
Or how we like
environment.
lost a lot of the knowledge from like the Egyptians.
The
and stuff. We
Egyptians,
don't
right?
really know
right,
like all of the things that they knew.
yes,
yeah.
there's like so many different points in history that kind of you can like connect it to, or even like the Mayans.
Sure.
In the
Yeah.
sense of like you. So I don't know. I just kind of like.
So isn't it cool
That's
that
fun.
there's like this much background to this
well,
world?
and the
right? I
writer
think
of
that's
these
wild.
Yeah,
like in a
stories
cool way.
Yeah.
to come up with all of this
Oh
detail.
my
Yeah.
gosh! Like literally, like
It's
it.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm understanding where like kind of the obsession can happen because it's just
There's so much.
to
Mhm.
dive into.
Yeah, you could nerd out on this.
Like yeah, it's cool.
And we have.
yeah.
I think I've been converted.
All right, so the history of the Night's Watch by the Lord Commander
Okay,
Jeor
This
Mormont.
is going to be about the wall.
All right.
Sweet. Night's Watch.
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children.
So he's basically
I shall wear
retelling us
no
the
crowns
oath.
Yeah.
and win no glory. I shall live and die at my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realms of men.
Do you have this memorized?
No. Say it a lot.
That was Odin. He wears a little black cloak.
Guards the realms of treats.
That lasted a generation, and of a vast and terrible darkness that fell across the land. It came to be known as the Long Night.
Oh, he's talking about a specific
In
night.
the midst of this darkness, the White Walkers emerged from the far north
See?
with their armies of the dead.
See?
They
They're little
waged
and they're
war
little.
against the living, laying waste to villages and holdfasts, leaving terror and destruction in their wake.
Even the cartoon is creepy.
It really is. I really...
An
I wonder
alliance
who did the
of the
illustration.
first men and the children of the
very good.
forest managed to drive the walkers and their
See,
minions
Children of
You're
the...
wrong.
back.
The children of the forest drove the White Walkers back.
Oh.
So they're not the White Walkers.
Dope.
The first men erected the wall, a massive fortification, 700 feet
700 feet. I knew it was 700 something.
to the Bay of Seals in the east. It was a structure unlike any ever built. Indeed, some maintain it could only have been completed with the aid of giants or using the powerful magic.
Oh, magic.
This is like
Ancient
akin
children
to
of
the
the forest.
pyramids.
Aid of
Do we
giants and using magic.
But they said some say. Like, I think they don't know. Because it's
All of this
oral
is
history.
some say. All of
That's why it's lore.
Yeah, everything.
Oh, I know that.
Upon taking his vows, a brother of the Night's Watch serves for life. It is a life of hardship and great sacrifice. So the oath must not be taken lightly.
That is true.
The punishment for desertion
It's death.
is death. The Night's Watch is divided into three vital
Okay,
branches.
3 branches.
The
Yeah,
Rangers,
We knew that.
Yeah.
the Builders, and the
Okay,
Stewards. While all Black Brothers are expected to take up steel should the need arise,
It means
the
fight to
Rangers
death.
Yeah.
are the true warriors.
They go north of the wall and
Yeah.
And range.
in range.
And although the White Walkers have yet to return, another threat has emerged.
What's the other threat?
Barbarian tribes known as
The wildlings.
Wildlings.
Is that's that girl, right? I don't know. Forget.
the Builders are carpenters, masons, miners,
So they
and
keep the
woodsmen,
wall
It's like
maintained.
an
tasked with
ancient
maintaining the
rogue
wall.
tribe.
as well as its various keeps, towers, and structures which have fallen into disrepair over the years. The Stewards serve as cooks, butchers, and hunters. They tend to the horses and messenger ravens,
Oh.
sew clothing,
Okay.
gather firewood.
Jon Snow is a steward for
Lord Commander.
yeah, for
he's-
Lord Commander. Yeah,
He's destined to be a ranger. They just
he wanted to
screwed
be
him
a
over
ranger. Sorry.
because he protected his friend, who I like.
A man gets what he earns on the wall.
That's what he earns.
And even the lowliest gutter snipe can rise up in rank if he proves himself worthy. For thousands of years, the brothers of the Night's Watch have stood their lonely vigil.
Would be lonely.
As the seasons changed, as brutal wars raged in the south, as dynasties rose and fell,
Dynasties.
the Night's Watch endured. We are the swords in the darkness. We are the watchers on the wall. We are the shields that guard the realms of men.
We are the shields
cool.
that guard the realms of men.
So another history of the Night's Watch, but by
Yeah.
someone else.
Yeah. Do you want to just jump into this one right away, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Sorry, who did the last one?
I don't.
That was Lord Commander
Lord
Jeor
Commander.
Mormont
Yeah.
of the Night's Watch.
The one that's at the wall. I don't know.
Remind me what he looks like.
Maester
He's
Luwin is.
an older man. He's got like
The
short
curly
white
one?
hair.
Oh.
No, short white hair and like a beard.
Okay, he's the
And
bearded one.
John is
Yeah.
his steward.
Yeah.
because he saved his life.
Yes.
I was just trying to remember if it was the mean curly-haired one that made
No.
them beat up.
No.
Joining the Night's Watch, or taking the Black, is a singular honour for any northerner. For it was in the north, some 8,000 years ago, that the first men drove back the White Walkers, erected the wall, and established the sworn brotherhood that would guard the realm and its people from the dangers beyond. Regrettably, the Night's Watch no longer commands the widespread respect and admiration it once did. While House Stark and other houses in the northern regions continue to recognise its vital importance to the safety and stability of the realm, this view is not shared by the powerful houses of the southern kingdoms or their subjects. Most regard the Watch as a misguided, obsolete order made up of useless outcasts. Admittedly, the current Night's Watch is a shadow of its former glory. Their numbers have dwindled to less than 1,000. Of the 19 castles along the wall, only 3 are functional. The Shadow Tower, Castle Black, and Eastwatch by the Sea. And the Watch's mandate of adding to the wall has been abandoned entirely. There are barely enough resources to maintain it. Recruiting officers, known as Wandering Crows, scour the dungeons and slums of the realm in hope of finding men to fill the ranks.
Because people don't want to do it anymore because it's not as...
It's not prestigious anymore, yeah.
But that's because the White Walkers haven't shown up for a while, I'm assuming.
I think
they said thousands of years
Yeah.
they haven't seen them, yeah.
Yeah, so what good are you now?
Yeah, what's the point? Nobody even knows if it's true.
So it will be restored to its former glory.
While the White Walkers haven't been seen or heard from in ages, and may very well be the stuff of myth, barbarian tribes that dwell beyond the wall, known as wildlings, have been a menace to the north and its people for generations.
The Wildlings, they joined the Lannisters. Wasn't that the Wildlings?
No. The Wildlings, I think, is that one girl.
That's now with...
I think she's a Wildling.
Yeah. Osha.
Right. She was the one with Bran right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You were thinking of the hill tribes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're
kind of wild
similar.
too.
Yeah, they
but
were.
It's just more about location.
Yeah.
Are steadfast in their belief that the Black Brothers will answer the call of duty. But with winter coming, diminished numbers, and a lack of widespread support, will they
Just
be
for winter
ready?
again today. Oh, so did you.
Okay. So that's... Okay.
This is all really
That was
interesting.
That was interesting to know. Like, there's been a shift in terms of the respect and nobility of going to take the Black, work at the for the wall, like without it being something forced or as an imposition put on you. That people used to do that willingly. And then there was like, it was protecting, they said like 19 different castles at one point, and now
there
it's
were
only
19.
3.
There's 19 castles along the wall,
but only
3 are
in
manned.
operation.
Yeah.
3 are
like manned. Like there's people at them. Yes. And they don't. They also said that they don't like build anymore.
No,
There's no building happening.
no.
They don't have the resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very interesting.
Very interesting. Okay. Moving on.
And yeah,
History of
and
the Night's
another
Watch
one?
again, but this one is Tywin Lannister,
Tywin.
Tyrion's father.
Oh, thank you.
Right, the new King's Hand, except that they sent Tyrion. I'm remembering now.
Astride their monstrous spiders, flanked by giants, they wreaked havoc on the
I love his
innocent,
voice, though.
slaughtering thousands. All hope was lost until the fearless warriors
read a
of the
sleep
first
story too.
Night's Watch drove them back into the wintry mountains and built a magic wall to keep them
Magic
from
wall.
ever invading again.
Did we know?
These stalwart brothers
Or
in black
supposedly
continue
they're
to
saying the
protect us even
wall's
to this
magic.
day from the evils that lurk in the shadows. An absurd lie.
Why?
Well, I was gonna say that's why, like, Tyrion doesn't believe in the superstition of all of this,
Yeah.
right?
Because he's more southern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a big fairy tale.
As for the Night's Watch, there may have been a time centuries ago when there was prestige and honor in the miserable monastic life of a black
It
brother.
would be
But
miserable.
now, the wall has become a glorified penal colony.
I love his take. This
Yeah.
is so, like, it's funny.
Today, a typical man of the Night's Watch most likely started out a lowly beggar, or a rapist, or a village idiot.
We did learn that.
As for the few high-born watchmen, they either fought on the losing side of a war,
The
or
village
were
idiot.
disowned by their parents for one reason or another.
Except clearly women don't go there. It's only...
No, it's only men. Yeah.
Except that Arya's on route. I remember.
But there's
Pretending
little to
to be a
fear
boy.
from those
Yes, you're
primitives.
right.
They're a nuisance, but not sophisticated or
F
powerful
shit
enough
up.
to be a significant threat to the realm.
He's just like, the North are dumb, they're
Yeah.
insignificant, this is a joke, silly people.
Doing the old gods in the new.
Yeah, The Old Gods in the New. This one is by Bran Stark and Catelyn Tully, which is his mother.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that.
She's actually Catelyn Stark, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Formerly a Tully.
Formerly a Tully.
In the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros, the dominant religion is the faith of the Seven,
7.
first brought to its shores by the Andals some 6,000 years ago.
But there are some who still keep to the old way, worshipping the faithless gods of the children of the forest and the first men. The old gods are countless, nameless spirits of nature. In ancient times, the children of the forest carved faces in the trunks of the weirwood trees, which became sacred symbols of their faith. In time, the first men adopted the children's gods as their own.
Iconography. Really?
Meanwhile, across the narrow sea, a new religion was born in the hills of Andalos. According to legend,
Religion.
the God of Seven revealed itself to the Andals, and the invasion of Westeros followed soon after. The Andals sailed across the sea on ships armed with weapons of steel. Some warriors carved a seven-pointed star into their skin as a symbol of their new faith.
I thought you were going to say you like the 7-pointed star carved into their skin. I was like, oh, it's a look, certainly.
No. I like to
In
spear
time,
things.
faith of the Seven spread like wildfire throughout the land. The Seven is a single deity with 7 aspects, each symbolizing a different area of life, though most people refer to the Seven as separate gods.
Even though it's a
The
singular.
mother is prayed to for mercy and watches over fertility, childbirth, and peace. The father sits in judgment over souls.
Right.
The warrior is prayed to for protection, valor, and skill in battle.
Interesting.
The crone is the symbol of wisdom and foresight.
Foresight.
The smith watches over creation and craftsmanship. The maiden symbolizes purity, love, and beauty. Finally, there is the stranger,
Stranger.
rarely prayed to, who represents death.
Yeah, why would you pray for that?
Religion of the monarchy. Worshippers gather in temples of the faith called
The monarchy
septs.
of the Seven Kingdoms.
The seat of the faith is the great sept of
Ooh, I like
Baelor,
that.
which is located in the
We
capital
saw that at
city
the end
of
of last
King's
year.
Landing.
Yeah.
Still, in the north, where descendants of the first men dwell, worship of the old gods continues to this day,
So the north.
and the sacred faces of the weirwood trees keep close watch over the faithful.
Are connected to the
Okay.
old gods. The 7,
Yeah.
sorry, is normally followed by
It's the majority
The
of
major-
Westeros.
Now,
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Okay.
after the Andals came over
yeah.
and
But
conquered
then,
all the
but
kingdoms
it
except
said
the
the
north.
north Okay, but the Andals
didn't conquer the North.
No, it was the first men that conquered the North.
No, but the Andals, it said that they, from the Faith of Seven, claimed that they got a message.
Yeah, in Andalos, like the original Andals, before they came to Westeros, like it was like the Seven was like revealed to them, and then that's like the religion that they were like preaching, and then they brought it to Westeros.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. But they didn't get to the North, which is why the North still believe in the old gods of like the children of the forest,
and the werewolves,
the countless, nameless, faceless gods of the old. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the significance of the Andals. Like,
it's kind of like there's like layers.
Andals? I'm sorry.
Well, they're not really a people that exist anymore. It's not a house.
This is just how the new god religion got spread across the world.
How,
like a lot of
disappeared or whatever happened.
Well, they haven't really like disappeared. They're definitely
what is now.
Yeah, they're the ancestors of like some of the houses that currently exist. And I think there'll be more about some of that, so I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to... It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. It's like so much. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. All right, so this is The Field of Fire by Robb Stark.
That's who we don't know.
We know Robb Stark.
We know Robb. Robb is the king now.
No,
that's
Robb
Baratheon.
Stark is the oldest son of Ned.
Yeah, and they say King of the North.
Yeah.
King of the North.
I guess I just forgot.
So, I thought you meant king. I got confused when you said king.
Yeah. Or whatever they deemed him like.
Yes, the oldest son of Ned.
Like they
knights and 50,000 men at arms.
Sorry, I missed
Aegon's host was vastly outnumbered, and when the army of the two kings charged, the invaders turned heel and ran. But Andal Might was no match for Dragonflame. When Aegon unleashed all three of his dragons,
there you go.
4,000 souls were horrendously burned alive on the battlefield, King Mern among them. Realizing all hope was lost, King Loren surrendered. The Starks of Winterfell had no intention of submitting to Targaryen rule. They had reigned as kings in the north since the days of the First Men and were determined to resist the Targaryen invaders, just as they had resisted the Andals thousands of years before. King Torrhen Stark led his army to the Red Fork just east of Riverrun, hoping to succeed where Lorne and Mern had failed. But when Torrhen saw the size of Aegon's now mighty host, along with his monstrous dragons, he knew he couldn't subject his followers to the horror of another field of fire.
So
He bent the knee and swore fealty to Aegon, who allowed the Starks to maintain their lordship over the region as Lords Paramount and Wardens of the North. Without question, Torrhen Stark saved thousands of lives that day. He was ever after known as the king who knelt.
Yeah. So kind of this is showing sort of like the different like waves of people. So it's sort of like the children of the forest first, then the First Men, then the Andals, then the Targaryens. Yeah. And then where we are today.
And then why the Starks are still who they are.
Yeah.
Because they could have been overrun by a Targaryen and then not have been in existence anymore. If they wouldn't have knelt. Because he's like, okay, I'm not an idiot. We can't defeat
we can't do
giant reptiles who breathe fire.
Yeah. So why even try?
Why bother?
Yeah. We'll make a deal.
And luckily, though, it's interesting to think about why the Targaryens were like, okay, we'll spare you. That's interesting. Because they didn't have to.
Well, they just wanted them to submit. They just wanted to make sure they were in the rule.
But when you're like, okay, when you think about it, you're like, you're here to conquer land and territory.
Mm-hmm. I think they were still under their rule, so as long as they
you're
were...
like, but do you take that risk, or do you like pretend you've made a deal and be like, okay, wipe them out anyway? Like, it's just a thought of like interesting that they went with that. I mean, obviously that has happened in history, right? Where you're like, we're not necessarily gonna wipe you out, but I think most they do try to. They're just not always successful.
Yeah,
in the
I think
wiping
one
out
thing
of
to consider that they've mentioned previously is like just how like vast the North is as well.
Right.
So
like the Russia of I'm not trying
sure.
It's just big and
It's just like big and it's wild and cold.
the vastness of
Yeah.
Russia has protected Russia historically, right?
Yeah.
In our like
history.
Our history, Napoleon. Was it Napoleon? No. Or was it? Anyway, I'm getting my history mixed up, but I forget who was trying to take over Russia.
I thought it was Napoleon.
Napoleon,
it
the
was
vastness
Napoleon.
of Russia.
And it's like you never attack Russia in the winter
you
or
couldn't
whatever.
conquer because so this is just similar. It's easier for me to like remember stuff if I can ground it.
So
in
we're gonna
something that I barely know, as you can tell. I'm just like, was that Hitler or was that Napoleon? Very different eras. So
now we're gonna get another perspective on the Field of Fire, this time by Viserys Targaryen.
I also liking that we're getting
the days
multiple
of the
points of
Andals
view,
were
which is
numbered.
exactly cool.
What history
One by
is,
one,
right?
their so-called kings were bending the
this
knee
is actually
or
fantastic.
facing the wrath of Aegon Targaryen. Aegon of old Valyria. Aegon who was blood of the dragon.
See, they can
After
rhyme them.
defeating the Iron Men at Harrenhal and slaying the last of the Storm Kings, Aegon and his sisters, Rhaenys and Viserya, set their sights on other prizes.
Lady Warrior.
The gold mines of the Rock and the fertile lands of the Reach.
Or they're both Lady Warriors.
King Loren Lannister of the Rock and King Mern Gardener of the Reach foolishly thought their combined armies could beat back the Targaryen host. They rode forth together, their proud banners flapping in the wind, and faced off against Aegon in a vast golden field of wheat. The two kings commanded a massive force of nearly 60,000, and it appeared the day was theirs. Until Aegon unleashed all three of his dragons for the first and only time.
Oh? Only once?
Each beast was named after the Valyrian gods of Aegon's forefathers. Viserya rode Vhagar, whose fiery breath could melt armor. Rhaenys rode Meraxes, whose jaws were big enough to swallow a horse whole.
Oh my goodness.
Greatest of all was Balerion the Black Dread, with fire dark as night and wings so huge whole towns were covered in shadow when he flew overhead.
Oh my goodness.
This magnificent creature was ridden by Aegon himself. 4,000 men were bathed in glorious dragon flame that day, on what came to be known as the Field of Fire. King Mern was among the dead, and House Gardener died with him. His stewards, the Tyrells, surrendered his ancestral stronghold of Highgarden to Aegon, and were appointed Lords Paramount of the Reach and Wardens of the South.
To them too.
When Loren Lannister witnessed Mern's fate, he wisely bent the knee.
Okay, that he was like, okay.
Aegon spared
learn from
Loren's
their
life,
mistakes.
and the Lannisters were made Lords Paramount of the Westerlands and Wardens of the West. After his triumph on the Field of Fire, Aegon's conquest was assured. In a short time, the so-called Seven Kingdoms were melted down in the heat of the dragon's flame and transformed into a single realm.
Oh.
Aegon would forever be known as Aegon the Conqueror.
So sometimes I call Odin the Black Dread.
Okay, so
When
this
you
is
beat a bad boy.
interesting to know that at one point the Seven Kingdoms were not considered seven, but one realm. So he
Well, that's always the seven. It's like he united them. Like it was the Seven Kingdoms because they all had like separate kings in the different areas, and then he united them so that it was like one king.
Yeah.
right.
For all.
Which
yeah.
I remember reflecting on past episodes when King Robert was talking about him wanting to, I think,
when
go
he said
against the Dothraki.
when he was said, "What's greater, 5 or 1?" And it's 1 because everyone's together.
Yeah. 1 or 5
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also interesting too about the dragons. That's the only time he used
Vagar.
all 3.
One time he used all 3.
I think it said the Field of Fire is the only time that he used
All
like
3.
all 3 at the
Yeah.
same time
Yeah.
with his sisters.
During this. Yeah.
Yeah. So that just
also-
shows you like how powerful each one is too. If he didn't even have to use all 3 most of the time.
So the other thing that I found interesting about this part of the history is that so far the Targaryens are the only ones who have women that go to battle.
Oh, yeah.
And that a dragon and like these women were suited in armor to fight and to go to battle, which confirms
Khaleesi.
being
Daenerys.
the actual chosen one to be the dragon leader lady, which is
She's
why
the only one left now.
her
Because
brother
Stupid
the
Face died.
what is it again?
Viserys.
Viserys died.
AKA Stupid Face.
Or Golden Crown.
Yeah.
Because they'll know that we know that
we've
part.
seen
This confirms all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Women in power.
All right, should we keep going?
Yes.
Sorry, the wheels in my head are
We're not even halfway.
We're not even halfway
Sorry.
through. It's okay, it's okay.
But
Okay,
once you get
the
me
Order
on,
of Maesters by Maester Luwin. So this is about the Maesters.
you
In the
have to
far
realize
southwest
you've
of
unleashed
Westeros,
some other
Oh, I
the
know.
mouth of the
dragon.
river Honeywine, lies the great stone city of Old
Who's
Town.
reading this?
It is
Maester
home
Luwin.
to the Citadel, where men and boys from throughout the kingdoms
I'm sorry, I missed what we're learning right now.
Luwin.
No.
About the Maesters.
Oh, okay, their role at the wall.
Their role in Westeros as a whole.
Oh, they're not just at the wall.
Maester Luwin's actually not at the wall. Maester Luwin is in Winterfell.
Oh. Yes, I think I remember. He's the teacher for Bran when he was teaching him at that map that one day.
he is assigned to a castle or keep, and duty-bound to serve as its counsellor and healer, even if control of the castle changes hands. A Maester's allegiance is to the realm, not to any one family. His badge of office is a great chain, forged from links of different metals, which he wears around his neck. It is a reminder of his role as a servant of the realm, and is never to be removed.
Like you're
A Maester
shackled,
forges his
right?
chain with study, and each link represents the mastery of a different kind of learning.
Oh, cool.
For instance, a silver link signifies mastery of the medicinal arts. A golden link represents the study of money and accounting. An iron link indicates knowledge of warcraft. Ravenry is an especially important skill for a Maester,
Ravenry.
as it is he who breeds, trains, and maintains carrier ravens.
Oh, okay, that's how
Messages.
they learned how to do that. Okay, I was always kind of
Of Valyrian steel. This signifies knowledge of the higher mysteries, commonly known as magic. Only one Maester in 100 possesses such a link, as this field of study
Which
is
link?
frowned upon by many in
Magic.
the Order.
no, but what
The
does
higher
it look
It
mysteries.
like?
is possible magic
What does the
may
link
have
look like?
existed
It's
for
made
a
of
time
Valyrian
long
steel.
ago,
Oh, I won't.
but most
recognize
consider
that.
the higher mysteries
sure
to be
that-
long gone from
I don't
this
know what that
world.
means. I was just wondering if I'd be able to identify that now that I've heard this.
Probably not.
Okay.
It is little wonder there are some who refer to the Order as the Knights of the Mind.
The Knights of the Mind. Oh, I like that. And oh,
She's excited about the next one.
She's
So
been
just
asking.
like the Maesters, so like every
Yeah.
like major castle has a Maester.
Yes.
basically.
They're teachers, masters,
Yeah.
counselors,
Yeah.
training. They
Yeah.
train.
and
or-
you're
So
you're a
ma-
servant
different
of the
things.
realm.
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that why the eunuch, right,
Mhm.
the guy with at the castle, he's not a
He's not a Maester. No.
no.
He's a lord.
Okay, because he always says, "Well, I serve the realm."
But you don't have to be a Maester
I get
to serve
that.
the
I
realm.
just was
yeah. But so
trying to
Maester
remember
Maester
that.
Luwin is the Maester of Winterfell,
Yeah.
and Maester Aemon is the Maester of the Wall.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know if I remember.
also
him.
it's kind. They're all kind of older gentlemen.
Yeah.
Is he the one that? Maybe he's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, but you said the COPD.
No, the COPD. He's at King's
Landing.
He's in King's Landing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The one that I thought was it a butler in a movie I watched.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was like, I couldn't remember which one you were
Was he?
referring to.
He's the one that asked Tyrion, "How many winters have you been through?"
Yes, he did.
That guy.
Yeah. You'll see him again. Don't worry, you'll see him again. Okay, let's learn about Mad King Aerys from Mr. Luwin.
This one I
Lindsay's
need to
excited
write.
I know,
this
you guys
one.
have been asking about the Mad King so much, and I'm like, we'll let the Maester.
I feel like the Mad King maybe just had like schizophrenia and heard voices and went crazy and killed everyone.
Okay, well, let's find out.
Okay.
Undiagnosed. He was poisoned.
As word of King Aerys' erratic and troubling behavior spread throughout the Seven Kingdoms, Lord Rickard Stark continued to serve his king faithfully as Warden of the North. The proud father of 4 children, his daughter Lyanna, was engaged to Robert Baratheon, the young lord of Storm's End.
They were engaged.
Centuries of peace between the North and the Iron Throne ended the day Rhaegar Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone, abducted Lyanna.
Prince of Dragonstone.
Enraged, Brandon Stark rode to King's Landing, demanding the release of his sister and the death of Rhaegar. Aerys arrested him for treason and called his father to come to the capital to ransom him. When Lord Rickard complied, Aerys, now utterly mad, arrested him for treason as well.
Arrested the
Lord
dad?
Rickard demanded a trial by combat. Aerys declared fire the champion of House Targaryen and had Lord Rickard suspended from the rafters of the throne room while pyromancers lit a blaze beneath him. As he burned,
Very fair.
Brandon was brought into the throne room.
Brandon?
A leather cord attached to a strangulation device was wrapped around his neck. Aerys told Brandon his father was a dead man, but there was a chance to save him. A longsword was placed on the floor just out of Brandon's reach, and the more he struggled to reach it, the more the cord tightened around his throat. Brandon Stark strangled himself, trying to free his father,
Oh my god.
who was roasted alive in his own
Isn't that horrible?
Oh my god.
Well, no wonder they call him the Mad King.
Mm-hmm.
The Mad King was reported to have laughed hysterically as these 2 noble men were tortured and brutally killed before him.
Jamie killed the Mad.
Seeking to rid the world of all his supposed enemies, Aerys called for the head of Rickard's younger son, Eddard Stark, and Lyanna's betrothed, Robert Baratheon. He sent word to Lord John Arryn, who had fostered both young men at the Eyrie, to apprehend them. Instead, Lord Arryn joined houses Stark and Baratheon in rebellion. Robert vowed to kill Rhaegar Targaryen and get his beloved Lyanna back.
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
Holy fuck.
What happened to Lyanna Stark?
She was kidnapped.
By
Prince Rhaegar.
Targaryen?
Targaryen. Yeah.
Why did the Targaryen kidnap?
Okay, what? I thought it said Rhaegar or something.
Because Aerys, the Mad King Aerys was a Targaryen.
Mhm.
So who is the prince?
His son.
His son kidnapped Lyanna
So why
Stark.
though? We don't know why.
Okay.
You'll just have to watch to find out.
So
his son
the prince's name
kidnapped
was Rhaegar.
Ow.
Sorry, but didn't they say Rhaegar or something?
Right.
Do you know what? This is so funny. I'm actually not even gonna say it because there's another. So this is another Mad King.
Okay.
But
can we
This
just?
one's by Robert Baratheon, so they will say his name again.
Just
I'll
hold
see if you
on.
can catch it this time. Well, let's watch this one, and I
Then
think this will clear it up for
They
you a little
got
bit more.
tortured.
Yeah.
Then they also wanted Robb killed and Ned killed, and then they band together to take over.
With John Arryn as well.
Right.
Yes.
Who then became the king.
John Arryn became
the
the
king's
hand of
hand.
the king.
The hand.
Robert became
Robert
the king.
became the king.
Remember? Robert
because then John
Baratheon's the
Arryn
king,
was
John
the hand that
Arryn's
got
the rock.
killed with the rock.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is all.
It's all coming together.
Sorry, bear with me.
No, it's
This is
okay.
painful for people.
Well, no,
I
it's a lot of information. I think you guys are actually doing really well.
I'm like,
yeah,
eating this up. Like
okay, so now we're gonna hear more about Mad King Aerys, but now from the perspective of Robert Baratheon. So I think that this will fill in some more gaps for you. Yes, but just always remember that everything is from their perspective, so it's coloring it.
Yep.
Yes,
just like history.
Yeah.
In general.
All right.
Who's the teller?
Aerys Targaryen was the last of his name to sit on the Iron Throne. Known far and wide as the Mad King, his was a reign of instability and terror. The Seven Kingdoms are well rid of him and his kind. Oh, he may have appeared to be a capable ruler at first,
this explains
but that was due in
why
no
he
small
wanted
part to his counselors,
the
led by the
Khaleesi
hand of the
kill.
king, Tywin Lannister. There may have been years of peace and prosperity during Aerys' reign, but it was Tywin who was really running the country, as Aerys spiraled further and further into insanity. The dragon spawn were famous for losing their minds.
He was his hand.
It was the price they paid for centuries of keeping the bloodlines pure. And Aerys more than happily continued the noble sister-fucking tradition of his forefathers. As the years passed, Aerys' behavior became increasingly erratic. He cut himself so often on his Iron Throne, many referred to him as King Scab. It was rumored he had developed an obsession with wildfire, and was known to inflict horrific punishments on those he considered enemies, including burning them alive.
That explains.
As his paranoia and bloodlust grew, he had a bitter falling out with Lord Tywin, who had served the crown faithfully for 20 years. At least Tywin was able to leave the job with his life and fortunes intact.
How?
Subsequent hands of King Aerys weren't so fortunate.
Yeah.
Then the Targaryens
He
went
just got out
too
at the right
far.
time.
The Crown Prince Rhaegar abducted Lyanna
Rhaegar.
Stark,
There you go.
daughter of Rickard Stark, the Lord of Winterfell. She was my betrothed. She was my beloved. Beautiful and spirited woman, and I loved her more than life itself. Rhaegar went south with Lyanna, hiding her away in Dorne. What harm he inflicted on the poor girl, the gods only know. Brandon Stark, Lyanna's eldest brother, was outraged. He rode to King's Landing to confront the king and demand his sister's safe return.
Okay.
There you go.
Instead, Aerys had him executed. His father, Rickard Stark, as well. There wasn't much left to discuss after that.
Nope.
Aerys feared their loved ones would seek revenge for what he did. He was right to be afraid. Aerys wasted no time in calling for the heads of Brandon's younger brother, my friend Eddard Stark. And my head too, of course.
Yep.
I'm sorry he didn't come looking for it himself. Alongside Jon Arryn of the Vale, the man who fostered Ned and I as children, Baratheons, Starks, and Tullys all called their banners. Once our rebellion began, the Mad King's days were numbered.
So the Baratheons, Starks, and
Tullys
Tullys
rebelled against
And Arryns.
Aerys. And then Arryns.
Yeah.
Okay, that made sense of how
Yeah.
they ended up at the King's, which was really not a great idea. But at the same token, what else were they gonna do?
Okay. You want to learn more about King Aerys? Because
I just don't know. Okay, am I missing why the prince kidnapped Lyanna?
You're just gonna have to keep watching.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that I haven't learned that yet.
No, you have not.
I mean, if he's like his dad, then there may be no rhyme or reason, but I'm gonna go with it. There is a reason. We're gonna find it. Okay.
Okay.
And we're gonna find it from Tywin.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I hope.
Perhaps.
No, I don't know.
Okay, so Mad King Aerys, again, this time, Tywin Lannister.
This is so much fun. I'm not
As Aerys Targaryen's behavior grew more and more erratic, the task of ruling the Seven Kingdoms fell to me, Tywin Lannister.
Yeah.
I had served Aerys for nearly 20 years, and as a result, the realm had prospered. The royal coffers were full, the land was at peace. But Aerys grew increasingly hostile, jealous of the success many credited to me. My power and influence unnerved him. The captain of my personal guard, Sir Elyn Payne, was once overheard making offhand comments regarding who was the true ruler of Westeros. When the king was given this information, he had Elyn Payne's tongue ripped out with hot pincers.
Oh, we met that guy.
Yeah, we did.
The guy with no tongue?
Yeah.
My daughter Cersei would marry Aerys' eldest son, Prince Rhaegar. Such a union made perfect sense for all parties. However, Aerys' senses had begun to leave him quite some time earlier. Instead of uniting the royal family with its most loyal and powerful ally, Aerys chose instead to insult my family, indicating that such a match was beneath Rhaegar. Instead, he chose Elia Martell of Dorne to be Rhaegar's wife. As if to rub salt in my wounds, Aerys appointed Jaime, my son, to the King's
Ilia
Guard.
Martell.
The King's Guard may be an honor for lesser families than ours, but it is a lifetime appointment that forces him to renounce all family holdings. This creates a difficulty in naming an heir to Casterly Rock. But Aerys knew all that. I had grown tired of the king's constant provocation. Thus, I resigned my post as Aerys' hand and returned to Casterly Rock with my considerable forces. When Robert Baratheon rebelled against the throne, Aerys grew fearful that I would join with Robert's forces and rise against him. He thought himself clever and kept Jaime very close, as if warning me. He sunk deeper and deeper into delusion, paranoia, and violence. I've heard it said he became obsessed with wildfire, a substance which, once lit, cannot be extinguished. Convinced he had enemies all around him, he wouldn't allow blades in his presence, save for those of his king's guard.
Was unwell.
Alas, that proved to be his undoing.
Okay, everyone mentioned his obsession with fire.
There's his king guard was Jaime.
And dragons breathe fire, and he's a Targaryen.
But at that stage, there weren't any more dragons, so...
I'm just trying to, like...
I missed the name of who Rhaegar...
Ilia Martell.
Okay.
But this still...
From Dorne.
Does not explain why he kidnapped.
No.
Not yet!
Host Targaryen by Viserys.
So, initially, he was betrothed to Tywin's daughter. And then...
Or that, I don't think he was actually betrothed to her, but Tywin put forward that match and said, this makes a lot of sense, let's do this. Right. And he said, no, we're gonna do
you're not
this other
enough.
person. Yeah.
You're below, you're beneath.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, Rhaegar... Am I saying this?
No, it's right.
What did I say previously?
I'm not even sure that it was an actual word.
Right, yes, or something. Anyway, he obviously wasn't really into Ilium Martell, I'm assuming.
Yes, very interesting. Okay, House Targaryen by Viserys Targaryen.
Whew.
We're getting there.
The Targaryen dynasty united the Seven Kingdoms and lasted nearly 3 centuries.
Yes.
It was a dynasty forged in fire, sealed in blood, and destroyed by rebellion. The Targaryens are blood of the dragon, descended from the nobility of ancient Valyria, a once mighty empire in the east. When the cataclysmic doom laid waste to Valyria and its people, the Targaryens survived, having settled on the island fortress of Dragonstone years before. They remained there for a century, until the rise of Aegon the Conqueror. Instead of attempting to reclaim the eastern lands of his ancestors, Aegon sailed west for the Seven Kingdoms.
Right.
His sisters Visenya and Rhaenys at his side. To keep the bloodlines pure, Aegon continued the custom of his Valyrian ancestors and took both of his sisters to wife. Together, they came ashore on the eastern coast of Westeros. Their blazon, a dragon with 3 heads, representing Aegon and his sister wives. Their words, fire and blood. While their host was small in comparison to the armies of Westeros that awaited them, Aegon and his sisters had a secret weapon. The last of the dragons.
The last.
He conquered every kingdom save Dorne, which eventually bowed to Targaryen rule a century later. He had the swords of his enemies melted down by the fiery breath of his dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, and forged into the Iron Throne.
Oh, the dragon.
The capital city of King's Landing was built on the eastern coast, where Aegon and his sisters first came ashore. And Aegon ordered the construction of a royal castle on its highest hill, the Red Keep. For 300 years, the Targaryen dynasty stayed strong in the face of rebellion, civil war, and plague.
Yes.
But the line of Dragon Kings was broken when my father, Aerys Targaryen, the second of his name, was overthrown in rebellion. My father was betrayed and slaughtered by Ser Jaime Lannister, a member of his own Kingsguard. His son and heir, my brother Rhaegar, perished on the field of battle at the hands of Robert Baratheon, who claimed the Iron Throne for himself. And so today, the only surviving members of the storied Targaryen dynasty are myself, Prince Viserys, rightful King of the Andals, and ruler of the Seven Kingdoms,
You're not the rightful king
and my
of the
sister,
Andals.
Daenerys. We were spirited away to the free cities of the East by loyalists. Here we have lived in exile ever since, dreaming of a day when we will cross the narrow sea and take back my father's throne.
Okay. There's a little bit of a glitch in the story here. In this history, they crossed the water in boats.
Correct.
Why, in the story, are they like, we can't cross the sea because of horses?
Because
why can't they build boats?
So the Dothraki,
Like I'm actually being
the
serious.
Dothraki have never been on boats before. They are like a nomadic horse
And they only
people.
ride their
They only
horses.
ride horses. They've just never been on boats. So it's like a whole.
So put them on a boat.
But it was a whole
I don't
thing.
get
It was a whole thing to convince Khal Drogo.
Just to.
Do you remember how against
get
it he
on
was initially?
on a boat.
How are you going to convince them to do that?
Yeah.
That's not their life.
That's not their lifestyle.
Why
It's
would
not
they
what they've
wanna
ever
go
done.
Take over. And
Yes, but she also like convinced him to learn how to love and like.
Right, and at
do
the
different
end, she did convince him.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was like, okay, we're gonna get gold so that we can get boats, so that we can go to Westeros. And she did convince him in the end. It just didn't work out, unfortunately.
So they don't need the dragons to get over the water. I was just totally off about that.
I think it's too early to say, really. Like,
but they can just build boats. I don't know why in my head it was like, for some reason they can't build boats.
No, they can build boats.
It's more about convincing the Dothraki to build boats.
Oh, I'm so stupid. Well, that was just a dumb moment.
It's all right. There will be more of them, I'm sure. That's fine. All right. Robert's Rebellion by Robert Baratheon. So he's not going to be biased in this at all.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
that's what I was thinking.
Well,
telling his own story.
Yes.
Creepers.
Rebellion. The crimes of House Targaryen were too heinous to go unanswered. The noble houses of Baratheon, Stark, and Arryn united to oppose and overthrow the line of the cursed Dragon Kings. While Ned Stark and Arryn secured an alliance with the Tullys of Riverrun, I called the banners of Storm's End and rode out in force against the Mad King and his minions. Gods, those were some battles. Our first victory occurred at Summerhall, where I faced off against an army of dragon loyalists and won 3 battles in a single day. 3 in one day. 7 hells, that was a glorious day. We tried to take Ashford Castle in the Reach, but the Tyrells beat us back. We had to regroup. My army was pursued north by Aerys's army and took refuge in the Stony Sept in the Riverlands. When the Targaryen army entered the town, the Sept bells tolled, a signal to the townspeople of the battle that was to come. As the Targaryens searched from house to house for me, the combined forces of Ned Stark and the Tullys swept into the city. Gods, what a day that was. It's now known as the Battle of the Bells. We overwhelmed the Mad King's forces and sent them scampering back to King's Landing. Aerys' son, Rhaegar, who started the whole damn thing, finally emerged from hiding in the south and assembled his own army to face us. As for the Mad King, he must have been pissing himself. The battle that would decide the fate of the 7 kingdoms occurred at the crossing of the Green Fork of the Trident River. Rhaegar commanded the royal host, which was some 40,000 strong. My forces were outnumbered by nearly 5,000 men, but that didn't matter. They were fresh, but we were battle-hardened and had justice on our side. As the battle raged around us, I faced off with Rhaegar, the stag and the dragon right there in the ford of the river. I fought with the fury of 10 men, raining blow after blow upon that vile prince before burying my warhammer in his chest. I hit him so hard the rubies on his armor broke free, flinging them into the stream. They call it the Ruby Ford now.
The Ruby Ford?
With that scum Rhaegar dead and the royal army shattered, our next move was to make for King's Landing. But I'd sustained a few wounds in the battle and was unable to ride. I sent Ned Stark to the capital to face the Mad King and make him pay for his crimes.
Well, Robert got his revenge.
Certainly did. Certainly did. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so Robert's rebellion once again. This time, Viserys Targaryen.
The Targaryens, blood of the dragon, and the last of old Valyria, were loved by their subjects and admired far and wide as the greatest dynasty in the history of the Western world.
Pretty different perspective, hey? It's so contrasting.
Of
It's so
Targaryen
funny.
rule was shattered by the usurper, Robert Baratheon, and his band of traitors. House Baratheon owed its very existence to the Targaryens. Was it not Aegon the Dragon himself who elevated the bastard Orys Baratheon in the War of Conquest? And what of the Starks, the Lannisters, the Arryns of the Vale? All had been spared and allowed to keep their lands when Aegon could easily have wiped them out. Centuries later, the usurper and his lackeys repaid Aegon's benevolence with treachery. There are some who dare to claim Robert and his allies had reason to rebel. They say the Crown Prince stole the usurper's lady love. They say my father, King Aerys, murdered Rickard Stark and his son without just cause. Whether these charges are true or not, it doesn't matter. The dragon answers to no one.
It doesn't?
Aerys' good name has been besmirched in the years since the rebellion. He's been called a dangerous madman, a monster, a tyrant that brought his tragic end upon himself. Lies! My father was a victim of weaklings in his council. Lackwits who failed him in his hour of need and let the rebellion spin out of control. But it was not enough. The royal army was crushed at the Battle of the Trident. It was there the valiant Rhaegar met Robert in single combat, but the gods betrayed him, and he perished by the usurper's hand. As the Field of Fire had marked the end of the Andal centuries before, the Battle of the Trident seemed to herald the end of the Dragon Kings. When word reached the capital of my brother Rhaegar's death, my father Aerys moved to protect me, as I was the surviving heir to the throne. He sent me to the island fortress of Dragonstone, along with my mother, Queen Rhaela, who was great with child. But as my father, my king, Aerys Targaryen, prepared to defend his throne to the bitter end, little did he know of the horrors and betrayals that awaited him and our family.
Interesting. So the Queen
Rhaela is Daenerys' mother.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first mention I've heard of that name.
Yeah, so Daenerys wasn't even born yet.
No, which is funny because that's the first time that's been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, me and my sister were spared and sent away to the
Dragons.
Back to the Dragonstone.
Well, they were at Dragonstone, and then they were
like it was like
after
that.
that.
She was always alive until now. We learned no.
And she's alive.
Well, I mean,
born.
like as an independent.
Sure.
Like,
yeah. Curiouser and curiouser. Okay. So now House Baratheon by Robert Baratheon. So find out a little bit more about Robert's family. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Ours is the fury. These are the words of the Black Stag of Baratheon. A battle cry echoed throughout the land in rebellion when I, Robert Baratheon, the first of his name, seized the Iron Throne from the Mad King Aerys Targaryen, ending a dynasty nearly 300 years old. House Baratheon was born in the Wars of Conquest, when Aegon the Dragon invaded Westeros. Aegon sent his commander, Orys Baratheon, to take Storm's End. Argilac the Arrogant, the last of the Storm Kings, foolishly left the safety of his stronghold and met the Baratheon warlord in open battle. Argilac was soundly defeated, and Orys took his lands, his holdings, and his daughter. Orys was said to be a half-brother to Aegon Targaryen. If this were true, a little blood of the dragon mingled with that of the stag in those days. The seat of House Baratheon is Storm's End, a legendary keep raised in the Age of Heroes. It overlooks Shipbreaker's Bay, where legend has it that Durin, the first Storm King, raised the keep with the aid of Bran the Builder of House Stark, forging a centuries-long connection with the Stormlands and the North. After Aegon's conquest of the Seven Kingdoms, the Baratheons remained loyal enough to the crown while Targaryen kings came and went. But loyalty has its limits. When Rhaegar Targaryen, Aerys' vile son and heir, abducted Lyanna Stark, my betrothed, my beloved, it was time to act. We raised our banners, Baratheon, Stark, Jon Arryn, and the Tullys, united in rebellion against Rhaegar and his father, the Mad King. We were victorious and took the Iron Throne. That bit of dragon blood in my veins came in well, as it made me a distant relation to the Targaryen dynasty blood of my long-lost ancestor, Orys. The truth of it is, I took it. I sit on the Iron Throne. I rule the Seven Kingdoms from the Red Keep.
Well, not anymore, but he did for a time.
Okay. His child, Gendry, has blood of the dragon in him.
All
This
his
is
bastards
interesting.
do. Hey, I was the one that said maybe an army of bastards.
You might have been like really right, but does that mean that like Whoa. Okay. Is the Khaleesi gonna get with the Gendry? Gendry? And they're gonna have, like, dragon...
Maybe.
Stag power?
Dragon stag power.
Is that what they call them? The black stags?
The stags.
They're stags. Yeah. It was just
Stags.
funny how you said that.
Dragon stag power.
Whoa. That's so... That I didn't know before.
No, that was interesting that there was a little bit of mingling.
Because they're all like, oh,
blood.
all the bloodlines are so pure, but they clearly aren't. We know, like, Joffrey has no dragon or stag in his blood.
No, he does not.
What?
You don't remember?
Joffrey.
I thought Joffrey was Cersei and Jaime's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Therefore, he has no...
But they're Oh, no, they're
No,
Lannisters.
they're not.
Sorry.
They're Lannisters.
Yeah. No, Joffrey will be
it's
overtaken
clear that
by someone with dragons.
The Targaryens are meant to be the true rulers of the realm, in my humble opinion.
Okay.
And so, the Khaleesi is destined to be the ruler of the realm.
All right.
Gendry. Maybe?
Right.
Maybe.
Let's keep going.
But his mom, I think we made a connection that we didn't before. That Robert had already impregnated Leona. Yeah. Gendry is... Gendry. I heard that. How am I going to write that? So, like,
Gendry.
Yeah.
But
Gendry is...
the love child of...
Lyanna?
Lyanna's kid.
And Robert.
Yes.
This may be why Rhaegar kidnapped her. Because there's something there.
Okay, let's just keep... You're actually bringing more confusion to me by talking. Yes,
Well, just keep your own.
You're like...
Just keep your own theories.
But isn't your mind
confusing me.
swirling with ideas?
Your minds don't work the same way.
No, I'm not quite like that. That's like...
What are you thinking? Nothing of sorts?
No, I'm taking it all in. And
She's gonna percolate.
I'm keeping it as clues to pick up on as we keep watching.
Like Blue's Clues?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find out about the sack of King's Landing by Maester Luwin.
Why are we learning about the King's sack?
Okay.
What?
Just watch the TV
Robert
show.
Baratheon's victory at Trident was a turning point in the war for the Iron Throne. While it was clear the gods were smiling on the rebel forces, Aerys Targaryen still held the Red Keep at King's Landing. As Robert was wounded and unable to ride, it was up to Eddard Stark to make for the capital and force the Mad King to give up the throne. Lord Stark reached the city gates to find that Tywin Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, had already sacked the city in Robert's name. House Lannister had remained neutral up to this point, ignoring requests for help from both the Crown and the rebels. Now that Robert's eventual victory was assured, it seemed Lord Tywin had finally chosen a side.
So, get his
Lord
daughter
Eddard
in
was
there.
horrified by what he saw when he entered the city. Homes looted and burned, women raped, scores of innocent citizens killed. Disgusted, he led his force up Viserya's hill to the Red Keep. Upon entering the throne room, he found King Aerys lying in a pool of blood, dead by the hand of his own sworn king's guard, Jaime Lannister, who sat brazenly upon the throne. Demanding to know the whereabouts of Queen Rhaela, Lord Eddard was informed the Queen and her son Viserys had been spirited away to Dragonstone before the Lannisters arrived. But other members of the royal family were not as fortunate. Elia, Martell of Dorne, who was the wife of Prince Rhaegar, had been raped and murdered by Ser Crigor Clegane, on Lord Tywin's orders. Sir Gregor and his men had also butchered Rhaegar's young children. When Robert was well enough to reach the capital, Lord Eddard demanded the Lannisters answer for their heinous crimes. Robert refused, and sent him south to relieve the Baratheon stronghold of Storm's End, which was still under siege by forces loyal to the crown. Whatever words passed between the two old friends are known only to them. But Lord Eddard is said to have left King's Landing in anger. Later, when Robert was crowned, he appointed Jon Arryn as Hand of the King. Lord Arryn's first order of business was to broker a truce with the Martells of Dorne, who were outraged by the brutal murder of Princess Elia and her children. Following the death of Lyanna Stark, who had been betrothed to Robert, houses Baratheon and Lannister were joined in marriage when the new king took Tywin Lannister's eldest daughter Cersei as his queen. As for Eddard Stark, he returned to his stronghold of Winterfell, forever haunted by his sister's death and the shameful way that Robert had secured his throne.
The shameful way?
Well, he didn't...
Because he didn't do any of the work. In the end, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but like the actual overthrowing.
He killed the prince.
So this explains
And
in my
all the
head
men
why
in
the
the
Lannisters are a little bit bitter. Because Tywin Lannister actually was the one they just said that had already went
the Lannisters want the throne.
Into the place, and then Ned shows up without Robert. Oh, it's already been it's been finished
because the king was dead.
Yeah, and then the guy that wasn't even there gets the throne.
But he married a Lannister, so
yeah, but it explains why Jaime was like, well, I could have been the king. Or at least the next in line if his dad had been kinged.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, Tywin's not even the hand of the king.
He's again now.
But I'm talking about at the time,
yeah,
he made Jon Arryn the hand, which explains why the Lannisters then offed him. Because this is all rooted in like
they want
the historical bitterness.
Right.
Okay, and so basically it was like, okay, so then Robert was like, well, now my loved one is dead, my true love is dead, and these Lannister people are probably pissed off, so
chomping
I
at
need
the
to
bit.
freaking like calm them all down. I'll take his daughter.
Okay, let's get another perspective.
This definitely makes things like really, really make sense.
Yeah.
Of the bitterness and the like
contempt they hold for each other.
Like there's like historical scandal like written all in this.
Yeah. Okay.
It's obviously there's like the power hungriness, but which you knew, but you didn't know like what is it really? Is it rooted in just simply power, or okay, well clearly there's bitterness and like okay, this is great.
Yeah. So let's get another perspective on the sack of King's Landing from Robert this time.
For our rebellion to succeed, King's Landing had to be taken forcefully. No one was foolish enough to believe that Aerys was going to hand his crown over peacefully. The Mad King's reign needed to end. What Tywin Lannister's forces did was unfortunate, but it was necessary to secure the Iron Throne and bring peace and justice to the Seven Kingdoms. My glorious victory at the Trident left me wounded, but I sent my personal maester to attend to Sir Barristan Selmy instead. His wounds were more severe. Even though Sir Barristan was a member of Aerys' Kingsguard and fought on the opposing side, that man's bravery and loyalty was something to behold. But this meant my wounds would take longer to heal, and I couldn't ride to King's Landing myself. I sent the one man I trusted over anyone else in this world, Ned Stark, in my place. Had I been able to ride, perhaps I could have reached King's Landing sooner and prevented some of the violence that occurred when the Lannisters entered the city. Still, what Lord Tywin did was for the greater good. Even what happened to Princess Elia and her children. Babies or no, theirs was the same cursed blood that flowed within the Mad King's veins. They were dragon spawn and couldn't be allowed to survive. What would they grow to be? Loyal subjects? Ned with his damn northern honor. He and I had our first major fight over the deaths of the Targaryen children. Ned called it murder. Murder?
Okay.
It was war. It was war. Lord Stark demanded that the Lannisters be held responsible for their crimes. Was it a crime to put an end to a family of lunatics born of incest? I wouldn't and still won't blame Tywin. Instead, I sent Ned Stark south to finish off the remaining Targaryen loyalists. It was only Lyanna Stark's death that reconciled us. Ned had lost his sister.
And who killed her?
I had lost my betrothed and beloved. We shared that sad bond together, Ned and I. Through it, our friendship was made strong again. As for the Mad King's surviving heirs, those that were able to scurry away in the face of my fury now live somewhere across the narrow sea. They had best stay there. If they ever set foot in Westeros again, they will face the King's justice.
Except you don't live. Okay, so this also, I think, gives me perspective of maybe another element of, remember when Ned was like, no, we're not going after the Khaleesi, like, leave her and her baby alone.
Mm-hmm.
It also then explains why he was, because he was already not in agreement with the death of the Dragon Queen and the children.
Yeah.
Because of nobility. But I also think it is coupled in still, I think, some of our other theories about, like, him leaving, like, my wife, like, kidnapped Jaime, and, or sorry, not Jaime, Tyrion, and all that other stuff. But then there's this historical, like, element to it.
We're almost done.
I'm getting a headache. It's just a lot.
It's a lot of information. Yeah, we're almost done. So now the sack of King's Landing, Tywin Lannister.
Rhaegar Targaryen lay dead on the banks of the Trident, his royal army shattered and in retreat. The days of the Dragon Kings were clearly numbered. Until that moment, it would have been foolish to commit Casterly Rock to either the Crown or the rebellion. What would our family have to gain in supporting a raving madman? Or in entering a crusade to put Robert Baratheon on the Iron Throne? But chaos benefits no one. It was time for House Lannister to do what it could to ensure a return of peace and prosperity to the land. I, Tywin Lannister, brought 10,000 Lannister troops to the gates of King's Landing in order to bring the bloodshed to a quick and decisive conclusion. King Aerys had been sending ravens for months, begging for my support to end the uprising. In a way, his pleas had been answered.
Yeah, it's real peaceful, your
As I had
methodology
suspected,
there.
Aerys opened the city gates and welcomed my men.
Yeah.
Our plan was clear. Crush Aerys' remaining bannermen and remove the remnants of the royal family as quickly and efficiently as possible. Any alternative meant years of further war and a fragmented 7 kingdoms. Our means were bloody, but the results speak for themselves. As for Aerys, it is true he met his fate at the hands of my son. Aerys had kept Jaime close during the rebellion, thinking himself clever in keeping my son as a hostage, should I decide to...
They're not even as long in
to
this
the rebel
illustration
cause.
as they were in some of the other ones.
This proved to be his greatest mistake. For when the time came, Jaime did his duty as a Lannister. and drove his sword into the mad king's back. With that, Robert Baratheon's crown was secured. The new king recognized our role in his ascension to the throne, just as he recognized how useful the might and riches of Casterly Rock would be if he wanted to keep it.
The money.
To that end, I offered my daughter Cersei as his queen. Had Aerys not spurned this same offer years earlier, perhaps things would have worked out differently. With Robert and Cersei crowned as king and queen of the Seven Kingdoms, it was a new day. The dragon was vanquished, and the Seven Kingdoms would thereafter belong to the stag and the lion.
Stag and the lion.
Okay. Now, Sack of King's
The
Landing.
Battle of the
this time,
Trident may have
Viserys.
been an important victory for the usurper, but it was the treachery and barbarism of Tywin Lannister that sealed the fate of the Targaryen dynasty. My father, King Aerys, had ever been a friend to the Lions of the Rock. Aerys graciously brought Tywin to court, making him the youngest hand of the king in history. He gave him power. He gave him respect. He made it possible for Tywin to restore House Lannister to glory. Aerys and Tywin governed side by side for 20 prosperous years. Still, when the usurper called his banners in rebellion, Tywin Lannister ignored his king's pleas for help and stayed holed up in his stronghold of Casterly Rock. In time, my brother, Prince Rhaegar, was dead. The realm was in turmoil, and the usurper's forces were said to be riding for King's Landing. What a glorious sight it must have been when a force of 10,000 Lannister men showed up at the gate of the capital with Lord Tywin at their head.
It'd be alarming.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? Just 40,000 people, like, oh gosh.
Oh my god.
This ain't gonna end well.
As the capital was ravaged and its people terrorized, Jaime Lannister, son of Lord Tywin, proved every bit as treacherous. He killed my father, the king, at the foot of the Iron Throne. The Lannisters entered the Red Keep, and Tywin ordered the deaths of the rest of the royal family. It is said Princess Rhaenys was found cowering under her father's bed and put to the sword. She was only a child. As for Rhaegar's widow, Elia, she was forced to watch as Lannister thugs dashed her baby son's head against a wall before being raped and murdered herself. As I was the heir to my father's throne, I had been spirited away to Dragonstone with my mother, Queen Rhaela, who was with child. As a raging summer storm battered the island fortress and destroyed the Targaryen fleet as it lay at anchor, my sister, Daenerys, was born. My mother, the Queen, died giving birth. Now, some 17 years later, the rightful king still lives in exile. But a day of reckoning is coming. I will sail west as Aegon the Dragon did centuries before. I will take back my father's throne with blood and fire. And I will punish the treacherous dogs who sought to destroy my family. And the people shall rejoice.
The interesting dichotomy? No, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for. Maybe juxtaposition is what I'm looking for. Queen dies, giving birth of the future Khaleesi.
Daenerys.
Ships ruined. Indicating to me. No, I think this is significant that they lost their ships, but then from her birth and like all of that destruction, the dragons come back. I think that's all linked. I think it's a thing. Like that they just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm weird.
Well, I mean, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. So.
But do you know what? No, like,
I know what you
do
mean.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then the death of her brother and the birth of the dream. This is all just like, okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I'm being weird. I don't know. Are you not thinking those things? I don't know. Okay.
No, I
Are
wasn't.
you thinking those things? I don't know.
Okay, let's keep going.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
It's
It's
very
very
The
interesting.
snow-capped mountains of the
Disappearing
moon,
and being destroyed
standing high
forever.
above the rich lands of the Vale,
Okay.
stands the Eyrie, a storied and impregnable fortress said to have been built by the legendary Mountain Kings in the Age of Heroes.
That's
It
a
is the
cool
stronghold
castle.
of House Arryn, one of the oldest noble
We've seen it.
families in
Yep.
Westeros.
It's with the
Their sigil,
8-year-old.
The moon door.
soaring falcon over a crescent moon.
Oh yeah, that disturbed
Their
me.
words, as high as honor. The Arryns are direct descendants of the Andal invaders, who sailed across the narrow sea and came ashore at the Fingers. According to legend, Sir Artus Arryn, known as the Winged Knight, soared through the sky atop a giant falcon, landing on the peak of the highest mountain where he defeated the Griffin King in battle. It was the Andal's first great victory over the First Men, and Sir Artus was duly rewarded.
So is that
He was
sigil- is
declared
that a
king of the
falcon?
mountain and the Vale,
Oh, okay.
and the region was
An eagle,
renamed
but it
the
is a
Vale
falcon.
of Arryn. Thousands of years later, Aegon the Conqueror arrived in Westeros. House Arryn bent the knee to Aegon and his dragons, and were allowed to maintain the control of the region, as Lords Paramount of the Vale and Wardens of the East. Over the centuries, House Arryn remained loyal to the Targaryen dynasty, until Lord Jon Arryn joined with Houses Baratheon and Stark in rebellion
I like
against
this.
Mad
Idea is
King
very
Aerys.
cool.
Upon winning
Like
the
a
Iron
stained
Throne,
glass.
Robert named Lord Jon Hand of the King, a position he held until his mysterious death.
Mysterious.
Okay, House Lannister by Tywin Lannister.
On the far western coast of the continent, high atop a rocky promontory overlooking the Sunset Sea, sits Casterly Rock, ancestral seat of House Lannister. Below it lies Lannisport, one of the great cities of Westeros, a centre for trade,
No,
culture,
that's not the tree.
and the great
No.
Lannister fleet.
The red, no.
There are a number of gold and silver mines in the Westerlands, making it the richest region in all of Westeros. One of the most productive mines lies beneath Casterly Rock itself, making House Lannister the wealthiest of all the noble houses. This allows House Lannister to finance many endeavors of other noble houses. Even the king himself has sought credit from Casterly Rock from time to time. We Lannisters claim our descent from the Andal invaders, and through the female bloodline, Lann the Clever. According to the legend, Lann, using only his wits, won Casterly Rock from the noble House of Casterly during the Age of Heroes. The Lannisters reigned as kings of the Rock for thousands of years, and worked to make it the envy of the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. Our time as kings ended, however, when Aegon Targaryen, otherwise known as Aegon the Conqueror, arrived in Westeros with his army. The last king of the Rock, King Lorin Lannister, joined forces with King Mern Gardener, the king of the Reach. Together, with 60,000 men, they met the Targaryen host in open battle. History tells us that Aegon unleashed all 3 of his dragons, slaughtering 4,000 men at what came to be known as the Field of Fire. King Mern himself was burned alive that day, and House Gardener turned to ash with him. Seeing both the threat and opportunity the Targaryens represented, Lorin wisely surrendered and aided Aegon in his further conquest of Westeros. The Lannisters were thus appointed Lords Paramount of the Westerlands and Wardens of the West, titles we hold to this day. Let us be clear, though. It is neither luck nor royal favor that makes our house prosperous. There have been times in our history where some have thought us weak, lazy, or opulent. My father, Titus Lannister, nearly bankrupted our house with his poor investments, and allowed himself to be mocked openly at court. When our vassal, the Rains of Castamere, dared to rise up against the Lannisters, they learned how dangerous it can be to taunt a lion. I, Tywin Lannister, led the assault on Castamere to put down this rebellion. I made an example of them, to anyone who doubts our might. They even made a quaint song about the fates of the Rains of Castamere. Sadly, there are no Rains left to hear it. Today, the Golden Lion of Lannister is rightly admired and feared throughout the Seven Kingdoms. Our words are, "Hear me roar." But there are other words that should be remembered when crossing a Lion of Casterly Rock. A Lannister always pays his debts.
Always pays his debts. I was wondering when that was going to come.
Okay, House Stark by Bran and Robb.
The Starks of Winterfell trace their descent to the first men in the Age of Heroes. The family's founder was Brandon the Builder, who, in the aftermath of the Long Night, helped establish the Night's Watch. Legend has it he enlisted the aid of giants and the powerful magic of the Children of the Forest to raise the mighty wall, which has protected the realm for generations. He went on to build the ancestral seat of Winterfell and reigned as the first king in the north.
The Starks reigned as kings for thousands of years, even withstanding the invasion of the Andals. As the southern kingdoms fell and the Children of the Forest were driven away, the north stood strong, maintaining its religious customs and its way of life. Eventually, the reign of the Kings of Winter came to an end with the coming of Aegon the Conqueror. After Aegon and his dragons destroyed the combined armies of the Reach and the Rock at the Field of Fire, King Torrhen Stark bent the knee and swore fealty to the Targaryen dynasty in order to spare the destruction of Winterfell and his people. He was forever after known as the King Who Knelt. As a reward for his submission, Aegon named Torrhen Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North.
The Starks take great pride in their history and traditions. It is one of the few noble houses that still keeps the old gods. A sacred weirwood tree looms large in Winterfell's Godswood. Its ancestral sword, Ice, was forged in ancient Valyria and has been passed down through the generations. House Stark remains steadfast in its support of the Night's Watch, even as the once illustrious order has fallen on hard times. Much like their sigil, the Grey Direwolf, House Stark is the stuff of legend in the north and throughout the Seven Kingdoms. And their family words, "Winter is coming,"
serve as a reminder of their beginnings in the wake of the Long Night, and a grim portent of things to come.
Winter is coming.
Okay. That's
Wow.
lots of information to consider going forward.
I have a headache because my brain has just been like saturated with all of these details and like, wow. Okay. Okay, sorry, from those little last few snippets.
Okay.
You guys took so many notes. Wow.
Let me count. You can keep
Lannisters are wealthy because their land is on the mines of the gold and silver.
8 pages.
The land of gold and silver.
Yeah, so that's why they're so
their
wealthy.
Land's on top of that.
Yeah, the land.
They always pay their debts, right?
I also found it telling or interesting that they said they come through a female bloodline.
The Lan the Clever.
The Clever.
Yeah.
Female bloodline.
Yeah.
So the Starks are very connected to the wall. The origins of the wall come through them.
Yes.
Yeah. Bran the Builder.
Yeah, same as the Night's Watch.
I don't know if I did know that before.
It's okay.
And then the sacred Weirwood. Sacred
weirwood trees.
Tree. that because they follow the old
Yep.
gods of the tree people?
Yeah. The trees that were carved by the children of the
Like
forest.
the faces
Yeah.
of the children
Yeah.
were carved in the werewoods.
Yeah.
I missed the connection to the direwolf. That came really direwolf. So
Well-
it came fast.
I don't know. Is it just because it's like...
It's their house sigil.
Yeah, but why?
I don't think
I'm
they
gonna,
said.
I'm gonna leave that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Huh. Holy cow.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think
Yeah, I gave a lot of tidbits along the way.
I think we're gonna leave it there. So please subscribe
Mm-hmm.
and like and ring the bell. Check out the Patreon as well if you want to see some of our reactions ahead of when they're posted on YouTube, and also check out our merch as well. Those are some awesome ways to help support us. So
And thanks again just
Yes.
to everyone for sticking with us so far.
yes, and we're gonna keep going. So we're gonna take a little break and then we're gonna delve into season 2.
Yay!
Bye.